we have made it, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back for another episode of Pickup Lines here in a shaded space in downtown San Antonio. Not too far away from where the Final Four will play out here in just a little bit. Jenny Carnes is my guest, the president and CEO of SA Sports, San Antonio Sports. I was surprised that you actually had availability to talk to me for 20 minutes.
I would make time for you any day, Ernie, any day. It is a little busy right now, but got to carve out some time for our media friends.
You've always been great to me, and I appreciate that. But you literally are the embodiment of March Madness, right?
It is
like the physical embodiment of March Madness right now.
Yes, it is. Yes, if I look a little tired,
no, it's okay.
I'm embodying March Madness. It is my baby. I love this event more than any other sporting event in the world. Maybe with the exception of the Olympics, but to do this for the 5th time in San Antonio on the men's side is just so exciting. And last we hosted was in 2018.
Right.
So I've literally been working on this event for 7 years, and we're 21 days out.
It is like the Olympics, because you find out like 7 years in advance you're going to host it or something like that, and then it seems like forever, and the next thing you know, it's 2025, and here we are.
And I'm 7 years older.
We all are, though. That's fine. Me too. Is it next Thursday is the opening day of the tournament? Is that right? Or Selection Sunday?
Selection Sunday is this weekend.
Right.
And then the newer format is
that's
68. Right. So the first four.
The first four on
the play-in starts
right.
Tuesday night.
That's right.
But I think the greatest day in sports is Thursday and Friday, starting at about 11:15 when you can like 5 channels. You can find so many games. You got to flip back and forth, buzzer beaters here and there.
You got to find True TV and all
the
Turner
channels. Yes.
And we'll stand in the newsroom here at the end of a game, and everybody will scream or whatever when something happens. And there's nothing. You're right.
There's nothing like it. Yeah.
I would challenge people to think of another day on the sports calendar. I don't know. The Super Bowl is up there. But that Thursday, the first Thursday of the tournament,
you just can't compare anything to it. I mean, the Super Bowl is one thing, but you're spending the day like ramping up to one game.
Correct.
This is 32 games, in 2 days. It's incredible.
Are you allowed in your capacity to fill out a bracket?
I am. We are doing a bracket challenge in our office at San Antonio Sports. We've done it for many years, and we do both tournaments, men's and women's.
Of course,
women's is as important to me, if not more important.
We'll get to that in a minute, by the way.
We say in NCAA language, don't bet on it, but we do do a bracket challenge, and it is a fun time in the office.
So are you prepared to release the Jenny Carnes Final Four prediction right now?
We're actually going live on Tuesday, filling out my bracket. So stay tuned. I'm not gonna give any hints.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I had to like plug my own thing.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be greedy, but the women's game is obviously important to you because you grew up playing basketball, and I didn't find out until recently you grew up in Uvalde.
I did, yeah. Born and raised. Most of my family's still there, and I grew up playing every sport.
How did your family, though, end up in Uvalde, like, to begin with?
Farming, actually.
Okay.
My dad's side of the family moved from Alabama in the late 40s, and we started with one farm, about a 50-acre farm, and now it's a large operation where you're probably eating onions and cabbage from H-E-B that comes from Carnes Farms.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
My parents grew up in Del Rio, and I've driven through Uvalde hundreds of times, and I just did not know that you had a presence. Your family had a presence there.
I grew up water skiing on Lake Amistad.
Oh,
yeah, it's one of my favorite places.
I have spent a summer day or two out there as well.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. So, sports brought me to San Antonio, and I've been here ever since.
I don't think people realize, a lot of people may not realize how great of a student athlete you were in Uvalde. And because it was such a small community when you were playing, I mean, you probably could have had you could have been a household name, if you will.
I was pretty good.
Oh, you were very good.
I was pretty good.
You're not going to brag on yourself, but you were one of the top scorers in the state.
Yeah.
At the peak of your high school career, right?
Yeah.
The Uvalde, I'm drawing a blank on their mascot.
Coyotes.
The Coyotes.
And Lobos. The
women
the
are the
Lobos,
yes. How great, what do you remember about those high school days and playing, I'm sure you commuted to San Antonio, right?
Played a lot of summer ball here in San Antonio. We drove over here 3 days a week for practice or games because there's just, there isn't AAU basketball or BCI basketball in Uvalde.
Correct.
So spent a lot of time here, but no, I had a great time being a student athlete in Uvalde, in a small town, because the whole town shows up, and we had a pretty good team throughout my 4 years there, and our guys' team was pretty good, so it was fun.
And you mentioned your dad was a coach, correct?
No, but he was a really good athlete himself.
Okay.
Yeah, he played football.
He was
at
an
Rice.
athlete. Okay.
Played at Rice. Yeah.
Right. So the apple did not fall too far from the tree in terms of you played baseball though.
I played baseball
with the boys.
all the boys growing up.
Because there was no girls baseball in Uvalde.
No softball. No.
Or softball.
No. Several seasons where I was the only girl on the team.
And you were probably the best player on the team.
I played first base, starting first base.
I was in right field and batted ninth, so that tells you all you need to know right there. Yeah. Yes.
It was fun. Yeah.
Good times. How? We'll get to college because you played college ball and everything. But growing up, were you dreaming of a career in sports, one way or the other?
I mean, I wanted to be a professional athlete.
Okay.
First and foremost. If you asked me what I wanted to do for a career, I couldn't have told you. Everybody thought I was going to go into coaching, and I knew from an early age I did not want to go into coaching.
Right.
But I didn't know there was this whole other world out there of sports, the business.
The business side.
Yeah. I wanted to play for Pat Summitt or Jody Conrad.
At Tennessee and Texas,
yes.
right? Yeah,
And
legends.
Wasn't quite good enough for that, but I played my last high school game in the gym at the University of the Incarnate Word, and we were in a playoff round against Floresville, and that's the night that our head coach saw me, had a pretty good game that night, and came over and said, come back next weekend for a tryout.
I heard the story about the reason you played the game at Incarnate Word was because you missed a last-second shot in another game that forced you to play the game at Incarnate Word.
Yeah, we should have won district. Man, I missed that shot off the back of the iron from about 75 feet away against Pleasanton. The things you don't forget, right?
Exactly. Big but, had you made that shot,
I don't know that my life would be where it is today.
You would not be sitting in this car right now, probably.
I don't know that I would be. I would not have played in Incarnate Word. That coach, I'd already been sending her tapes, trying to recruit myself, and she had no interest in me. Too slow,
Ridiculous. Do you think, had you gone to a San Antonio school or a larger, more high-profile school, that you could have gone to a Texas or a Tennessee or a...
I do. We just didn't get the recognition.
Yeah.
We weren't watched by college scouts. However, I wouldn't change anything because I got to play for 4 years, and had I gone to a UT, I wouldn't have gone off the bench, and I wouldn't trade any of it.
Did you get a business degree in Incarnate Word?
Yeah, sports management and business.
Right, because that was one of the early sports management programs in the country,
we were one of the first in the country to include sport management. I didn't even know what it was at the time. I didn't know what I was going to major in, but I found it in the catalog. We were driving home on the bus from a game late into my my sophomore year when they kept saying, you've got to declare a major here at some point.
Yeah.
So what is sports management? Yeah.
And the rest is history. Yeah. And here you are. Talking to Jenny Carnes, the president and CEO of San Antonio Sports. You've been on this job for how long now?
I'm in my 26th year. Started as an unpaid intern in 1999.
Literally started probably one of the lowest possible positions.
The lowest of the
paid?
Low. No, unpaid. Unpaid for a year.
I think you were like, because I was like this slightly in my career early on, like a polite pest, right? You would just not go away.
That's exactly what I was. I finished my internship, got the credit for college to graduate, and then San Antonio Sports had just hired the first person to run the first women's Final Four.
Correct.
And she was trying to staff up, ramp up, and I just kept coming to the office. I had no place to be there, but I kept volunteering, and I think they finally realized, she's not going anywhere. Let's put her on payroll.
Let's do something with this Jenny Carnes, please, so she'll stop being a polite pest. But this is, and you gotta remember, this is long before NIL and transfer portal, and I mean, the way college and the NCAA game is right now. I guess basketball hasn't, I don't know that it's been impacted as much as football has.
No, but I would say it's a close second. I mean, think about all of college athletics. And it has been impacted, but not on the level of football. It's a different day right now.
It is. And that would take a whole other episode for us to get into.
Stay tuned for part 2.
We'll come back. I'm going to need some therapy and something. But nonetheless, so you go back to Uvalde, you said? You have family over there
I
still,
do,
obviously.
yeah,
You go
yeah.
pretty often. And,
Uh-huh.
and I suspect you could still...
I can still shoot. I can't run up and down the floor anymore, but we play a lot of horse in my driveway with my daughter. Yeah.
I always loved to play pickup basketball earlier in my life, but I always got scared as I saw friends of mine, contemporaries of mine,
Blood
snapping.
in me, Achilles. Yeah, and that's why I won't do it. I don't have time for that right now.
And my wife looked at me one day and she said, "You're not
Yeah.
doing that."
I'm working on my golf game.
There you
now.
go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
A lot less contact sport and
Yeah.
everything like that. All right, so Final Four right now. Give me a sense of, here we are.
21 days out.
Okay, thank you. 3 weeks, I was going to say.
Yeah.
What's happening at SA Sports, San Antonio Sports right now as it relates to the Final Four?
So we office in the Alamo Dome.
Yes.
And as I mentioned earlier, having worked on this event since the start of the bid process 7 years ago, it is so fun to finally see it moving into the building. As soon as the UIL Boys State Tournament ended last Saturday night,
Right.
Pulled out that court, pulled out the seats. We're seeing the major jumbotron being built out right now that will go, right in the middle of the stadium, which is kind of, the size of what they do at the Houston Rodeo. It's huge.
Massive.
And then as soon as they get that in, the temporary seating system goes
Right.
in, which
Okay.
is bigger than the Frost Bank Center. We will build basically an NBA arena in the dome from the floor up that ties into the permanent seating system. And then all of a sudden, Monday, I'm driving to work. The pole banners are up downtown.
Yes.
We're just starting to see it come to life. It's so much fun. So we're in the thick of it right now. We've got a big Selection Sunday event coming up
Right.
This weekend out at the Rock, open to the public, but also a private event. So taking care of our sponsors.
Gotta
We're
do that.
we're putting a bow on everything at this point.
There's a musical lineup came out. I think somebody mentioned to me the other day, like, you do not have to be a college basketball fan. The Final Four is one of those things that attracts people from every walk of life. And
Yes, you do not have to have a game ticket. You don't have to buy anything. It is
Right.
a free downtown, fun atmosphere of a weekend, and the lineup is incredible. I think it's probably one of the best we've seen in years. Chris Stapleton,
Yep.
Jelly Roll,
Yep. Free concerts.
Mr. Worldwide, Pitbull.
Pitbull.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Free concerts. This is
Again,
free.
and it's such a great time of year here in San Antonio, leading up into Fiesta, Easter season, and everything. It's tough to top.
I always get put in charge of the weather, so I'm a little stressed out about that with so many things outside. And so we'll all light a candle that we've got a beautiful day like today, a lot of sunshine and a breeze and no rain.
Do you immediately, when this Final Four is over, do you start preparing for further bids and other events that are coming? And we'll get to some other events because I know there's a new marathon and as SA Sports All-Star Basketball. But I mean, the Final Four, it's like a 365-day-a-year job.
Oh yes,
Mindset.
More than it's been really 2 years.
Yeah.
We've had a staff just on board to work on Final Four for over a year.
Right.
And as soon as we wrap it up, of course, we've got to go through financials and all the boring stuff, the audit. But we jump right into all the things that are coming up next. And then we've got announced in October, the NCAA Women's Volleyball Final Four will be here in December of 26. So that's not that far off.
No,
if
it'll
you
be
think
here
about it. It's a
like
year and
that.
a half. We'll do another men's basketball regional at the Frost Bank Center in 27, and then the women's Final Four. My event will be here in 2029. So yeah, we'll get started on some of those things. We'll start looking at other events we should be bringing to San Antonio. Hosting the DoD Warrior Games in the summer of 26
Yes.
and 28, and then all of the events that we own and operate, including our upcoming San Antonio Sports All-Star Basketball Game presented by Valero and
KSAT 12. Thank you very much. And the
broadcasted
sports team
by-
has done a great job, and it will be broadcasted by KSAT 12, but highlighting a lot of those young kids, and that's another weekend where you get, the greatest hits from all these small towns around San Antonio and here.
And here, yeah.
And they're all together under one
Yeah,
roof.
some phenomenal student athletes. Can't wait to highlight them, to celebrate them. We started this event last year, so we're only in year 2, but it's going to be great. There's a lot of basketball coming up in the next
You
few
cannot
weeks.
get enough basketball.
No.
You personally. Getting back to the women's game, because you mentioned the Final Four's coming, is it in 29? Mm-hmm. I mean, if the current trajectory of the women's game continues, I cannot even imagine what it's going to be like in 2029.
Well, part of our bid last year to, or whatever year that was, they run together for me. But to secure that is to keep the event in the Alamo Dome,
right,
as it has been for 3 other awards,
yeah,
and break an all-time attendance record, which San Antonio still holds from 2002,
okay,
29,619.
Amazing.
And with that burst of popularity, I mean, we could see 40,000 people. And I know everyone's kind of waiting to see, without the Caitlin Clark effect, what happens.
Right.
But you look at some of the top players right now in the country, and you've got Juju Watkins
sure,
that probably could break her scoring record.
At USC.
Yeah.
Right.
That could break her scoring record by the end of her career.
And that's
which is insane.
Like crazy talk.
Yeah.
If you'd have said that a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Or 10 years ago.
No one would have believed it.
But it is cool to see how, and I know we obviously had a WNBA team here once upon a time in San Antonio, but there are many women that are now household names. Mm-hmm. And I think Becky Hammond, probably
she was a big part of that.
That once won. Diana Taurasi, who just retired.
I know.
I covered Diana her rookie season.
Yeah.
In Phoenix.
Yeah.
Vividly remember when she came in onto the scene.
I wish we had our team still here. Oh, gosh.
The Silver Stars, as they were back
yes.
then, and they became the Stars. A lot of great memories in the AT&T Center at the time when they played there.
Yeah. And they just traded, I think, the last player that had a San Antonio connection, Kelsey Plum.
Oh, she went to Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. So, Becky, come home, please. Spurs,
please.
Bring the team back.
Do you think, seriously, I know there's expansion plans in the WNBA. Is that something they would ever revisit?
I don't know. I've teased the idea. I've asked that question on a podcast that I was hosting. I asked a couple of Spurs representatives, and the answer wasn't no, but who knows?
Well, a no is not, that's not a terrible thing. Well, I would think, too, just with the Project Marvel and everything that's happening, which will obviously impact the Alamo Dome and future events and everything, and you get a downtown arena, and it's all there, I think that would be attractive
Absolutely.
to the WNBA.
Yeah. So excited thinking about Project Marvel. And I continue to tell the city leadership, whatever I can do to help push this thing to the finish line. It's what we need to do in San Antonio right now.
Selfishly, I wish it had happened earlier, but it's sometimes it's hard for me as I drive through downtown to imagine 10 years from now what that's going to look like.
Yeah. 10 years. I'll be on the golf course. Not working in the Alamo.
I have a feeling they're still going to be calling you up and everything here.
No, it would be an amazing development for our city and what it could do for downtown.
You'll be watching the games in the stands, no doubt about that. I know that.
For sure.
Jenny Carnes, a few more minutes here because she has important things to do, more important than talking to me in my car here, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
There's nothing more important than talking to you on a Friday afternoon, Ernie. Come on.
Thank you, Jenny. Good answer. Another thing that people may not realize is a running event, the Rock and Roll Marathon, which kind of ended its term last year, but you guys are putting on a brand new event. I've got a son who runs track and cross country. He's very interested in what you guys are going to do here later in the year.
It's hard to think past Final Four.
Right.
But nothing has gotten me more excited than this new marathon event. After 16 years of a great relationship with the Rock and Roll Series, the city and San Antonio Sports made the decision to part ways and not renew their contract. And the city said it's time for something new and gave us permission to start something new. So we really have grand dreams and a vision of creating a destination marathon like Chicago, like New York, like Boston. It will be a Boston qualifier. Change up the route completely. Our theme is every step tells a story. Okay. And we want to sell what makes this city so great, why people want to come here. So not just about music on the course, but we want to have a Spurs mile, a Military City USA mile, a What a Mile, a Mariachi mile.
Okay.
I'm open to ideas here, but we want to sell everything about San Antonio.
You go to a Bill Miller mile. You need a Taco Cabana mile. You need all of the...
Stop for your iced tea. Stop for your taco.
That's right.
So
I love that concept.
It's going to be very different, but I think something that our citizens can feel like they're a part of, that we own. That, San Antonio owns this marathon, not a for-profit that is in another state and they leave on Sunday afternoon.
I see. Okay, and that makes sense when you frame it that way. Because I think some people were kind of disappointed to see the Rock and Roll leave, but you put it that way to be able to have ownership of something like that, you can localize it more. Yeah. One thing I've done 2 half marathons once upon a time, but the point I want to make is that there's so many scenic things when you do the course. If you do it the right way, you're running by some iconic historic missions in the Alamo and
Yeah.
whatever else is out there.
We're gonna hit the spots you would expect us to hit,
Yes.
but also changing it up and making it more of a neighborhood
Okay.
course. So running through Monte Vista, running through
Yeah.
Alamo Heights, some beautiful shaded routes of our city. But we're of course gonna have all the places you would expect
Yeah.
us to run past.
Very good. All right, well, we're going to wind down here with Jenny Carnes because, again, she's very busy. She will get very little sleep and free time in the next 3 weeks.
It's gonna be great.
It's going to be great. So you're going to do your live bracket reveal you said on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yeah.
Okay.
I gotta go home and study.
So I won't ask you to tell me but do you, in your head, have you already picked a winner?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been to San Antonio before. That's
I like
that's
it.
my hint.
I like
that's
it.
my tease.
I like it.
And we might see a Texas team in.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty likely.
I think
this
I
season.
have a feeling I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Let me, for the novice, for the first time Final Four visitor or somebody, what's the best part if they're like, well, I can't afford a ticket or I'm not going to be in the dome? What's the best part or one of your favorite parts of the Final Four experience without even watching the basketball?
Come to the Music Fest. I mean, again, Chris Stapleton,
Yeah, yeah.
Earl, Pitbull. It's free. Come downtown. Just come downtown and walk around. The energy is unbelievable. We do an incredible fan fest in the convention center. It's actually the only ticketed event outside of the games, but it's $10. And we have a ton of free tickets already out in the market.
Yeah.
Youth events all weekend. Just come downtown.
Yeah.
Be a part of it.
I love it. All right. Well, Jenny will be there somewhere. She's running around, putting out fires and doing a million different things, but enjoying some great basketball. It's such a great time in San Antonio. Again, just it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is. I say that. Without singing it, but I say that too.
Not
Yes.
Christmas.
Yeah.
But in the Carnes house, it is March. Thank you and congratulations on
Thank
everything.
you,
It's
Ernie.
fantastic
Thanks for having
stuff.
me.
Jenny Carnes, President and CEO of San Antonio Sports, a busy woman. Again, the physical embodiment of March Madness, but we're so honored and thankful that she spent a few minutes with us here today. So all the best to you.
Game on.